I've been a troublemaker, I've been a late-night player, I've been broke, it's a joke, I've been a money maker, I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator, I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing, popping, lock, and stop and let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip-hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk, we gotta have that funk. We kick it old school, we think we're so cool. We take it back to the past, we gonna act a fool. Up jumps the middle finger, make my
Fan-atical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable, Channel 23, downtown Denver, Connecticut, on this chilly, rainy, welcome to October, the third day of October. They turn the calendar and the weather turns from about a 50-degree switch. Yesterday it was,
it was
up near 90, close to it. And in the mid-80s at least. And then today, drop it like it's hot, but it's cold. 57 a high, I believe, with rain.
Yeah.
Steady little misty, rainy day all day.
They're saying we're supposed to have some 30s within the next couple of days too, by the weekend.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
40s, still in the 40s.
I
haven't seen any frost warnings yet.
I saw a couple of days. It's supposed to be like 35, 36 degrees in the morning.
Playoff baseball must be in the air. You know, I find it interesting. Well, let's quick, before I get into my interesting thought, say hello officially to my right-hand man, Mr. Bob Broad Jr.
How are you, Scott?
I'm doing well, Bob. You know, this is episode number 299.
299. You know what? This would be, next week is in bowling terms, right?
Oh, a perfect game.
Yeah.
Does that mean we can have no mistakes next week? Like we just had to start the show?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect game next week. Will it be like a perfect phone call?
Yeah.
I heard somebody at the White House made a perfect phone call recently.
Oh, did he?
He said it was perfect.
Yeah.
I called the Ukraine, it was perfect. A perfect phone call. Speaking of impeached, your manager got fired today.
Yeah, I know. He got canned. I knew that was inevitable.
Oh boy, all of a sudden the show's going in 10 directions.
Well, you know it's going to be. The two top picks are, right?
Who's that?
Buck Showalter and Joe Girardi. One of the two will be.
Those are pretty two good names.
Well, the Cubs are also.
I always like Showalter myself.
Yeah, I did too.
I don't know if you want Girardi going across town.
Well, the Cubs also lost theirs today, right?
A couple days ago.
Yeah.
Madden, the genius.
He's gone.
He's gone. He's out.
So
say goodbye.
I would almost think you would see Buck come to New York and see him go and see Girardi go to.
Buck is a lifer, and he did have that. He built the Yankees.
Yeah.
Before Torre took over, he had them primed and ready to go. Much like he built the Rangers, had them primed and ready to go before they went to the World Series.
Right.
Teams always do well, even better. He gets them ready, then they fire him, and then the team goes to the World Series.
Yeah. Well, the Orioles haven't been too good in the last couple of years, so.
No, he had them in the playoffs though.
Yeah.
I mean, they competed. They won the division his last year there, or one of the last years he was there. In recent years, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. You look at their record now, you think they're just terrible, but they were a division winner not long ago.
Yeah.
All right, we just went off on a tangent, but let's get that number, 203-792-4101. We are here until 7, episode 299, 300 next week. We'll try to be perfect. We'll see if Strange Man calls in. I don't know.
He gave you a list.
The Strange Carsonio.
Yes.
What's in the envelope? Does he expect me to read?
This entire, that'll take up the rest of the show. That takes up the whole show.
I mean, this is what the Strange Man leaves me in my box.
Kind of run through it quick.
It's a lot about the Red Sox and the Mets, and we'll get to them in a little while.
The evil director is going crazy in there.
And Tyler's in there doing audio. El Diablo in Darkness, a.k.a. DJ Malo in there. David Suero, getting it done. There is baseball going on right now, actually. Braves up 1-0 on the Cardinals in Game 1 of the NLDS.
Yes.
As the DSs get underway after, scratch that. 1-1 now. Live updates. Cardinals just tied it. Dallas Keuchel had been pitching in and out of jams, a couple double play balls, but how about that Dallas Keuchel as starter for the Braves in Game 1 of this series?
Yeah.
A lot of player movement in sports these days. You can't keep track of where anybody is, but one real exciting night in the wild card, and last night wasn't so exciting out at the Coliseum in Oakland.
Wasn't.
My thought, though, speaking of the weather, it's always back to the weather, Bob. It must be baseball. I find it interesting that baseball is a summer sport.
Right.
Right? And, it's spring. These teams get started end of March, beginning of April. Everybody's sluggish. The weather's terrible.
They go in February for training.
But they go down to Florida for that. And Arizona. The season, teams don't really get going until it warms up. And then the season is basically won and lost during the heat of summer.
Right.
But yet the championship is decided when the weather turns back again to the cold temperatures.
Oh, yeah. We go back to fall.
But the playoffs this year, Houston, Los Angeles, Atlanta, St. Louis, Tampa Bay, a lot of warm weather cities, so it might not be so bad. New York, we'll see what the weather does here as the Yankees get ready to welcome the Twinkies.
Well, like I said, Friday night is supposed to be cold.
Well, tomorrow's
going
to be chilly in New York tomorrow. That game's a 7:07 start time. Saturday, 5:07. It might warm up a little bit and dry out some by Saturday, hopefully, for that. So we'll see. The Twins and the Yankees, let's get right to that, actually. We'll get to the wild card games in a second. But the history between these two teams in the playoffs favors the Yankees. Since 2003, the Yankees have eliminated the Twinkies 5 times. Not good for the Twins. 5-0, 13-2 in those 5 series. One of them was a 1-game playoff, which we see right here, that 2017 wild card game, which was a wild one. Remember, that was the Twins scored 3-4 runs in the first inning off Severino.
And then
Didi hit a grand slam, I believe, in the bottom of the first.
Yep.
And that was a high-scoring game that the Yankees won. 10 straight wins overall, 13-2 record against the Twins since 2003, 5-0 when they match up in the playoffs in that time span. And any which way you cut it, high-scoring games, bullpen blow-ups, whatever. Even in the regular season, the Twins have had their troubles. Them and Oakland.
Oh, yeah.
Oakland, the same type of team as Minnesota. Great organization. They always get in and out of the playoffs. They never have the high payroll, but they just run things right. So they make good runs. They win divisions here and there. But when it comes to postseason play, it's been a while since either one of them actually went the distance. Of course, the Twins, Kirby Puckett.
Right.
And Ken Herbeck, 87 and 92?
Yes, you're right.
And Oakland, way back, Reggie Jackson, Vida Blue, those guys.
Oh,
early 70s.
73 against my Mets.
Right, and they beat your Mets?
Yeah. And then, of course, we had the Battle of the Bay back when the Giants in Oakland.
True, that's right.
That was during
Oakland
the earthquake.
They only won 1. They went 3 times.
Right.
Kirk Gibson with the famous home run.
In 88.
In 88. Then they beat the Giants in the earthquake-affected World Series. And then the Reds.
Yes.
With the Nasty Boys and Lou Piniella, manager. And Eric Davis, maybe? Was he the guy, the offensive player on that team?
No, Eric was with Cincinnati. That's right.
I think he ended up with the Dodgers playing with.
Yeah, maybe.
Isn't he related to Strawberry? Didn't they end up playing together? I don't know, cousins or something like that.
I think so.
But a little history right there. Oakland. So it's been a while for Oakland. It's been a while for Minnesota. Oakland is now out after they lost last night.
Yes.
In the year of the home run, another home run record, the fans at the Coliseum, their team during the regular season hit more home runs than the Tampa Bay Rays. But last night it was 4, I believe, home runs by the Rays. How about Yandy Diaz, fresh off the injured list? he played on Sunday. It was the first time he played since the end of July.
Yeah.
And then they put him in the leadoff spot. He hits a leadoff home run in this game, and then he hit a second one in the third inning. Poke jobs to right field as they beat Tampa beats Oakland last night 5-1. And there we see the former Joe Barlow high school star Charlie Morton.
Yes.
The ace now for the Rays after his days where he pitched great in Houston. We followed him when he was early on in his days with Pittsburgh.
Imagine how many World Series he's been in the last 4 years.
Well, I mean, he made it. He won with Houston. They did not make it last year because the Red Sox knocked them out. But he switched teams now and went to Tampa. Tampa employs that starter or opener mentality with most of their pitching staff. They don't have the prototypical starters except for Morton, and he gets the job done. I'm still pro starter over pro opener.
Right.
Although, and it didn't work for the Brewers the other night as they went with the opener against the Nationals. And by the time they got to the end of that game, it was the Nationals rallying against their closer, who they were asking to get a 2-inning save.
Well, we have a former Westerner playing with the Braves.
With the Braves, but also, and you have a former, the NECBL,
yes.
the Strasburg Express,
yes.
with the Nationals, who's playing with the Braves. And we also have
Matt Joyce.
Matt Joyce plays for the Braves, and also did Ford make the playoff roster for the Yankees?
I did not see his name.
He probably didn't, unfortunately, even though he played well for the Yankees. So some NECBL and Westerners guys representing well.
Yes.
But last night it was 5-1 in Oakland, so the A's are out. The Rays will go down to Houston to take on, how about this, to face Verlander, Cole, and Greinke in games 1, 2, and 3. Greinke 8-1, I believe, since that trade.
Yep.
Mid-season trade from the Diamondbacks over to Houston. He almost had a no-hitter into the 9th inning the other night, 1 out in the 9th. And Verlander had a no-hitter recently. Cole might win the Cy Young over Verlander.
It could happen.
Those are their three starters to start. I don't know who Tampa will be running out a lot of these opener, and they'll see if they can get enough offense. But they hit 4 home runs in that game. But the exciting game, and this was pretty thrilling. I watched this whole one. Brewers at Nationals on Tuesday night. Brewers and Max Scherzer, the gritty, gutty guy that National fans love. He's just a total team guy. He's going to gut it out, but they are nervous when he pitches because he has a propensity to give up early runs. And in a one-game playoff situation, that raises the nerves if he does that, which he did. 2-run homer in the first and a solo shot in the second. They were down 3-0. They got a solo shot of their own by Trey Turner midway through the game. Came to the 8th inning, down 3-1. The Brewers bring in their closer, Hader, and he did look wild, even though he got a couple strikeouts. He struck out the first guy on a 3-2 count, looked wild even in striking him out. Hit the next batter on a 3-2 count. Hit the next guy, actually. Then he struck out the next guy on another 3-2 count. So even though he was getting strikeouts, he was throwing a ton of pitches. And then Zimmerman with the broken bat bloop to extend the inning. Runners at first and third. Walked the next guy to load the bases. And they got the big hit by Soto, I think.
Yes.
And the outfielder misplayed a single into a 3-run scoring error. And they go up to lead it 4-3. Soto got thrown out on the play, rounding second. So the inning ended immediately, which meant minutes after having a 3-1 lead, thinking you're heading to the 9th, it's now 4-3, and you're up at bat with your season about to end.
Yeah.
And it did. As the Nationals got it done. Nationals have, I think, the 5th worst bullpen in baseball, but they had a closer out there who got it done that night. So they will move on. They head all the way west coast to L.A., take on the Dodgers tonight.
I'll tell you what, I do not think Washington will make it all the way through.
Well, they'll probably start Paxton in game 1 because Scherzer and Strasburg both pitched in this
Right.
wild card game, so those guys won't be ready for game one, maybe not even for game two. Anibal Sanchez, maybe? I don't even know. I'm making up names.
Well,
now
you
at this
figure
point.
you got 2 games out in LA, 3 games back here, and
Yeah.
then 2 if necessary.
So they might not see Serger in Strasburg until game 3
Right.
and 4. I don't know if either one of those guys will be ready for game 2. Well, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, the Dodgers being to the World Series 2 years in a row. Are they going to make it to 3 straight? I mean, they have
possible.
theoretically the best team. I think the Braves are a very tough team.
And then, of course,
The Cardinals are
what
a
the
tough
matchup
team.
would be. Yankees and Dodgers.
Well,
That would
maybe.
be the
I don't
ultimate.
know. The Yankees pitching staff is a little dicey, if you ask me.
I know, but that would be the ultimate one to have happen.
Red Sox Dodgers was great last year, but Dodgers Yankees is certainly more historic than that.
Right.
So nobody's going to be upset about that. What about a Braves Yankees rematch from
That would be good, too.
mid 90s? Astros would like to go back, of course. Historically, they're not going to raise any eyebrows, but they just beat the Dodgers a couple years ago. Dodgers
Right.
get a crack at them again, maybe. Twins Braves. That game 7 of the Twins
Right.
Braves was one of the greatest game 7s
Oh,
in the
yeah.
history of baseball. Baseball has just put out this top 100 games. Where did that rank? Jack Morris going 10 innings in
10
that
innings,
game?
yeah.
And was it Herb? Who scored the winning? Sid Bream, right?
Yeah.
Came around.
Yeah,
Or
he, came,
no,
he was a pinch hitter, right?
Was that? It was a slow-footed guy, and he scored it to win it for the Twins.
Yeah.
I don't know why Jack Morris isn't in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's had some of the greatest postseason performances. His regular seasons were, good. He was one of the best pitchers in baseball.
In '78, the top 3 players was him, Trammell, and Lou Whitaker.
Yeah, there were some good players, but so there's some historical things. I don't know. I mean, I think Houston has got to be the favorite in the American League.
Yeah.
The Yankees will try to hit with anybody, but they're going to go up against some tough pitching. Will the Rays be able to somehow figure out a way to get by Houston? I don't know about that. So we'll see. Will the Twins finally be able to break through? It's the Bomba Squad versus the Bronx Bombers.
Right.
The Twins actually hit 307 home runs, a record this year, to the Yankees 306.
That's still good numbers.
Yeah, both good numbers for both teams. They finished 1 and 2 in home runs in another record-breaking fashion. So let's touch on your Mets, Bob, before we get to all the other
Okay.
stuff real quick, because we do want to touch on the other things. They fired Callaway today.
Yes, they did.
There's a lot here.
Well,
Strange, man.
Can you just pick out a couple of
Well,
key,
the biggest thing is Alonso, breaking the home run record.
Yes.
53. Aaron Judge said it just 2 years ago with
Right.
52. He hit 2 home runs in the last homestand, in the last 2 on the last 3 games, right?
Yes.
And he hit the 53rd on the last day.
Yeah, on the last day.
So that was good.
You also know about Alfonso donating his cleats, right?
To Cooperstown?
No.
Oh, to who?
They're to the 9/11 memorial.
Oh, yeah.
He went out and got cleats for 9/11 for every player on the Mets. And of course, that's a no-no in Major League Baseball because you're not supposed to have anything that says.
Yep.
So
okay,
he went
so
and
the
had
9/11 cleats.
everybody at Cleats made a special edition, and he
They
donated.
wanted to wear those hats, which baseball wouldn't let them wear.
Right. So he made cleats up for everybody, and he donated his cleats to the 9/11 museum. They're signed and numbered. He also gave him the bat that he hit the 53rd home run with.
There you go. Good job, Pete Alonso. A rookie.
Rookie.
Unbelievable. Here's a good in the midst of this chicken scratch.
Okay.
So the Mets won the final game of the year in the 11th on a walk-off
On a walk-off home run.
Second time in Mets history that they ended the season on a walk-off.
Yeah.
And I won't go trivia since we're already out of time, but it was Rusty Staub who did it.
Yeah.
The only other time they ended the season on a walk-off, Rusty Staub. He didn't know which year that was. strange, man, but that happened.
83 maybe.
I don't know.
I think that was one of his last years with the Met. 83 or 85.
So they ended up finishing third in the wild card. So they finished ahead of like the Cubs and the Phillies. Both those teams faded fast. But how about this? Your manager Callaway's gone. I mean, I don't know. I thought the players kind of responded to him this year. They had a great second half.
Is there any problems up in Boston?
They all of a sudden want to get under the luxury tax. So the big question is, are they going to trade Mookie Betts in the offseason?
Why would you do that? Why would you trade one of your best players away?
I mean, he won the MVP last year. He should have won the MVP 3 years ago as well. They're not going to trade him. I think this is a lot of
because you trade him away, you might as well get rid of half the team to go along with it.
Well, the question is, JD Martinez has a player option, so he can opt out. So they'd have to give him, a good bit of money to stay.
Right.
And Mookie has one more year in his contract, and then he'll be up for like Mike Trout type money.
Right.
So they got to figure out if they can pay both those guys. They got too much money locked up in the pitchers is basically the problem, and the pitchers didn't even play this year.
I mean, Price, you got Price.
Sale and Price pitched, and they didn't even pitch this year. 25 starts between the two of them.
Right.
All right, and the other thing about the Red Sox in his notes, it was unfortunate, but it was fitting. Matt Barnes blew the save on Sunday, so one more blown save. I stopped counting. I think they got up to around 30 at least. Right. Which ruined the opportunity for Eduardo Rodriguez to get 20 wins on the season, which would have been nice for him.
Hey, 19 wins is still a
19 wins for him. Great year. They did win the game. Mookie Betts scored, beat out a throw at the plate, scored from first on a double.
Right.
So they did win their final game, but, I mean, they were terrible. All right, let's move to some other things as Cardinals and Braves still tied 1-1 in the fifth.
I got a question. Isn't hockey supposed to start tonight?
Well, that was on my notes right here. Oh. NHL back too soon.
Yeah.
Those are my notes.
Yeah. Because I know I knew the Rangers were supposed to start tonight.
It was only 4 months ago that
I know.
I've been like in a state of frozen shock since Game 7 in Boston. I barely have spoken a word about it. I mean, that first period where they dominated the Blues, who cried and cheap-shotted their way to the final.
Well, we'll see how my Rangers
make up. They outshot them 15-0 in the first period, and then right before the intermission, they take a shot from the blue line that deflects off somebody and bounces in the net, and it was pretty much game over after that. Series over. Stanley Cup to the Blues. Forget it. You don't even want to know what I'm dealing with with my buddy Andy, the real jet maniac in my life. My buddy who lived in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Boston sports fan besides the Jets, but he worked for the Thrashers and the Hawks, which turned him against the Celtics and the Bruins, but now he doesn't have a hockey team. Somehow in the middle of the playoffs last year, I started getting message for him. He had latched onto the Blues. And all of a sudden, I got to deal with this maniac texting me nonstop, including last night during the playoffs, about the Blues being his team. I'm like, are you kidding? What are you talking about? You just started rooting for them last week. Now all of a sudden you're a diehard Blues fans, and they match up with my Bruins in the finals. I mean, I don't know what to say. NHL back too soon. We'll talk about it more, but it's a long season.
We'll talk about it hopefully in weeks to come about the Rangers.
Start tonight. I think the Bruins might start tonight. Islanders tomorrow, maybe?
Yeah.
And the Blues lost last night in overtime as they raised their fraudulent banner, the crybabies that they are. MLS, big game this past weekend. Revolution clinched a playoff spot with a 2-0 win at NYCFC. NYCFC still remains first, and they had already clinched, I think, first place. Only a couple games remaining. The Revs would like to maybe improve their playoff position. They're at 45 points, Toronto 47, Red Bulls 48, DC 49. So they could maybe move up. I think what they want to do is avoid playing Atlanta in the first round, the defending champions. But we'll see how that shakes out in the next couple of days. Champions League was back in action this week. Just wanted to mention Tottenham. Oh my gosh. 7-2 in London. They
3 minutes.
lose to
Okay.
Bayern Munich.
We got 3 minutes left.
Holy cow, that was brutal. Barcelona came from behind against Inter Milan for a 2-1 victory. Suarez, the biter, gets 2 goals in that one. WNBA, Mystics, first game, 95-86 over the Sun. Game 2, Elena Deladon hurt again.
Yeah.
Left that game. The MVP for the Mystics, 99-87. Sun tie that series up Sunday in Connecticut at Mohegan Sun. Sunday afternoon, if you want to check out WNBA Finals right here in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Game 3, Sunday afternoon. College football, I wanted to mention Clemson 21-20 over North Carolina.
Cool game.
And North Carolina went for 2 at the end to try to win it.
Right.
And did not convert. Big games this weekend. Auburn ranked 7th, playing at Florida ranked 10th. Michigan State ranked 25th at number 4, Ohio State. NFL, we only got a couple minutes. Pats and Chiefs now 4-0. San Francisco had a bye week. They're 3-0. Remember last week we talked about all the undefeated teams. A bunch of those undefeated teams lost. You know, they went down. We lost a bunch of them. The Cowboys lost. Who else lost? The Lions lost to the Chiefs. That was a great game, 34-30. You know, how about this big upset, though? The Bucs 55-40 over the Rams.
Right.
But your Giants now 2-2. They take on the Vikings this weekend, who got beat by the Bears.
I watched that game. Oh,
16-6,
it was terrible.
ugly. Very ugly. Patriots in a tough game this past weekend against the Bills. They get the Redskins, who your Giants beat this week. Danny Dimes didn't look great, threw a couple interceptions.
Yeah.
But the Redskins also changed their quarterback to the rookie. He was unprepared, threw more interceptions than your guy.
My buddy says the Bears are going all the way.
Who says that?
One of the guys that's on our Westerners board, he said the Bears are going to go all the way this year. I said,
Wow.
okay.
Yeah, so the Packers, Rams, Cowboys, Bills, and Lions
1
all
minute.
dropped out of the
We
undefeated
got 1 minute
ranks.
left.
1 minute left. Tonight it's Rams at Seahawks. The Rams, they got to bounce back. Seahawks 3-1, Rams 3-1. Couple good games. Jags at Panthers. Backups doing well.
How about Tyler Saints?
Saints with a huge win over the Cowboys,
Yeah.
12-10. They won without scoring a touchdown.
Yeah.
And they host the Bucs, who we just mentioned. Put up all those points at the Rams. Vikings at Giants. Jets at Eagles off the bye week. Bills at Titans. That's going to be a tough game.
Right.
Browns again in prime time. What
Yeah.
the heck?
I mean,
Spare me the Browns, but they did throttle the Ravens, who talked a lot.
Right.
Speaking of talking a lot, the Bills talked way too much. And I talked too much about how great the kicking game is for the Patriots.
Right.
Remember I said that last week?
Yeah.
I made fun of all the other teams who have kickers all the time. Now Gostkowski's out.
Yeah.
We got to find a new kicker. I shouldn't open my mouth. All right, are we out of time?
Are we out of time?
That's it. Say goodbye. Whoa. They went to the... What was that?